explains, I think I spoke about this last year as well, the Safar. This is the opening parasha tells us, begins with this statement, Chodesh Hazeh Lachem. You know, this Poshet Chazal Darshan Rashi means it's the first mitzvah that the Beis Din would kaveya, they would establish when is the first day of the month. But Pshutai Shel Mikra is the month, this month is yours. The month is yours. Chodesh Hazeh, this month, Chodesh is about lack of time, Lachem, it's yours. So explains the Sephorah, because that's what redemption is, that's what Gula is, we'll explain. HaKadosh Baruch Hu gave a gift to a person. That's the most human gift, and it's only the human being, and that gift is the whole purpose of the world. The name of that gift is freedom of choice. The matana of Bechira. Freedom of choice, that a person can decide his future, he can decide every second what he's going to do the next moment. And Eved, and that's time represents that's what time is. Time is basically, to the human being, time is potential. Time is potential, it's a vacuum time. It's what you do with the time, that's what the time becomes. In Lashon HaKodesh, we have a Dova Nifla, where the tenses combine with each other. We have a word in past tense, and you put a vav in front of it, and it becomes the future. You have a word in future, and you put a vav in front of it, it becomes the past. It's a very strange thing. I don't know if you have it in a different language. You put a vav, and everything's transformed, because that's what Bechir is about. We have freedom. The Haiber is in our hands. But what this Haiber is going to become, is this Haiber going to become a seed? Is this present going to become a seed which will grow from a fruit in the future? In other words, are we going to this present is, in a second, it's going to become past. Is it going to disappear from the universe? Or or am I going to make from this present moment a seed that's going to be mites, that's going to produce fruit for Netzach, for eternity? And that's what's represented in this. There's a Lashon Chazal, Ein v'hoya ela Lashon Simcha. The word v'hoya, when we find it in the Torah, so it says the Medrash refers to happiness. Vayehi, Ein vayehi ela Lashon Tzar. Derech Klal, when you find vayehi, it's telling us about sorot, problems. Now, let's analyze these two statements. They're two opposites. When it says in the Torah v'hoya, it's something of simcha, so it says in the Medrash. When it says in the Torah vayehi, it's something of tzar. Now let's see. V'hoya, hoya is past. The word hoya is state of being. State of being in the past. It was. V'hoya, it will have come to have been. We translate it literally. V'hoya, it will come a time when this will have been. But it's said in future tense. Vayehi, the word yehi is future. Vayehi, and it was about to be, but now it's past. That's the Vayehi is transformation of making the future into the past. That's very sad. If the potential future has become past, it's no longer there. That's very sad. But if the past has come to be the future, that's a simcha. And that's what Bechir is all about. When we use the moment, and when we exercise our free will correctly, we use the moment to do the will of Hashem. We give over the time and think, what does Hashem want from us? That's Vahaya, that's simcha. Because it has become eternal. We have taken that moment and brought it above time. And that is the meaning of the pasuk, HaChodesh Hazeh Lachem. Till now, Am Yisrael, you have been slaves. A slave doesn't have free will. His choices are not his. He belongs to his master. So his time is not his. His time is given to the master. He can't decide his function, his individual function in this world. He doesn't have his individual purpose as an individual. He's part and parcel of his master. Says HaKadosh Baruch Hu, when he's about to be Mavaser, to tell Am Yisrael that they're going to be redeemed. So the opening words of this parasha is HaChodesh Hazeh Lachem. From now on, your time will be yours. The time will be yours. You will be able to function and turn this time into eternity. You will be able to realize and bring from potential into actuality your individual purpose in this world. And that's Yitzias Mitzrayim. Yitzias Mitzrayim is the ability to use the gift of free will correctly. To realize that time is a gift. Time is life itself. And life doesn't belong to us. Elokai, neshama, shenasata bi, the neshama that you put into me, that's my life itself. You put it into me. Tahirahi, it's pure, and I have a responsibility to return that neshama that Hashem gave to me in the same state that I received it, which is with a purity. That's my responsibility in this world, not to be metame that neshama, and to return it to Hashem tahor. On the other hand, there's a Rambam here. Rambam Nada. This week, the opening that we have in this Pasha, from one aspect we have HaChodesh Hazeh. The little ones.
Beis Musa.
The greatest Musas. To learn the opening sentence of the Rambam. To learn for a lifetime. Yesayda Zamura Chachmas Tamakodesh Bov. The opening sentence of this week's Pasha, Boyam Paroi Ki Ani Hichbarati Es Liboy. I have strengthened his heart, which the Rambam takes as literally, I have taken away from Paroi the gift of free will. Hichbarati Es Liboy, the most human aspect, the only nivra, the only created being that has this gift of free will is the human being. Malochim were not given this opportunity because their recognition of HaKadosh Baruch Hu is so strong that it's as if they don't have Bechira to do the opposite of Tzon Hashem. A Behema is totally instinctive. Only the Adam was given the gift of free will. And that's the Hagdolah, that's the meaning, the simple meaning when it says in the Torah, B'Tselem Elokim Osasa Adam, in the image of his creator. Which is in the image of his creator? Like the creator has the power of decision and nothing determines his decision. His decisions come from his own individuality. They're not external from other forces that predetermined. That's the Tzelem Elokim. The meaning, Todarabah, the meaning of the Tzelem Elokim. That is the meaning of Tzelem Elokim. In which way is the human being in the image of his creator that he has the power of decision, the power of free will. When a person uses his free will correctly and he doesn't put himself on automatic pilot, then he's expressing his Tzelem Elokim. And in different points, the more a person uses this gift of free will to force himself to do what's right, or he goes against the will of other things which are the guf, so he is to'en, so he tastes the light of his neshama. On the other hand, Paroi, who represents the abdus, the slavery of a person, the lack of freedom, Hashem took away. When we were enslaved to Paroi, it's not simply that we were enslaved to Paroi. Paroi, who he is like, so to speak, the opposite of recognition of Hashem, the opposite of fulfilling the purpose in creation. His tumah, what is the tumah? The defilement of Paroi, to the point that Hashem took away from Paroi free will. Paroi, by saying, Mi Hashem asher eshma b'koiloi, who is Hashem that I should listen? He doesn't want to recognize Hashem, so his tumah was so great that Hashem took away from him free will. We might think this doesn't concern us now. I want to read the Rambam here. Ve'efshar sheyechte ha'odom chet godol oichatoyim harbe. It's possible that for a person, because we have a problem here, if Paro didn't have free will, so why is he being punished? It's not fair. Hashem took away from free will, so why is he sending Moshe each time? He can't send them away, so why is he sending Moshe? The answer is, the Rambam deals with this issue. First he explains.
Where is the Rav quoting from? Where is the Rav quoting from?
The Rambam, Perek Vav, Minchas Tshuva, Halacha Gimel. It's possible for a person to do a sin, we'll make it to for the Rambam, it's an unbelievable, lengthy discourse here for the Rambam. Try to make a synopsis. it's possible for a person to do one great sin or many sins. That the judgment of the Dayan Ha'emes, the judgment of the judge of truth, that it will come out from him a mishpat, a law, that the payment for this tumah that he chose of his own free will, that one should take away from. First, the person chooses, he uses his free will to do the wrong thing. The punishment on the one who did the sin, or these chatoim, these first he did the sins, he used his free will. He used his free will to choose these wrong actions, these averos. So comes the judgment from the Dayan Ha'emes, when it takes away from the person the opportunity to come back to Hashem. One doesn't give him permission to use his bchira. Bchira is a gift, and Hashem nosam, Hashem notam. Hashem can, the same Hashem that gives a person free will, he can take away from him free will. It's not to be taken for granted. Kidei sheyomus menichin lo reshut lo should be rishoy. Kidei sheyomus v'yevad b'chatoyim she'osad, that he should be die with the chatoyim that he did. And don't think that it's only 3,000 years ago, one time historically in history, Paroi. For that, the Rambam, maybe he'd write it in Moreh Nevuchim. He wouldn't write it in Yalach Hazok, in Hilchos Tshuva. He writes it in Hilchos Tshuva, that means it concerns every individual Jew, that he might be subject, chas v'sholom, to this hanhoga of mishpat from Hashem. He says, and that's what the Navi says to Am Yisrael, the Navi of the Yeshaya, that they were in such a state. Hashmein leibo mazeh b'oznom hachbei, vein of hosha. They've hardened their heart to the point that they don't have a refuah. And v'cheinu oimer, another pasuk, vayiu mal'idim v'malachei elokim u'boizim dvora v'metatim v'neviyav. They didn't respect the Talmidei Chachomim, and they disgraced the words of the prophets that Hashem sent specially to help them do tshuva. And when they disgraced that very keli, that very vessel, which was meant from Hashem to help them do tshuva, they lost the opportunity to do tshuva. Where does he see it in the pasuk? The pasuk continues and says, Ad olach hamas Hashem ba'amoy ad ein marpei. They reached the point of ein marpei, no refu'ah, no cure, a terminal disease. What does it mean, ein marpei? Says the Rambam. Koloima. What is the meaning of this pasuk? Chotu miratzoinon v'hirbu livshaya ad shenischaybu limnoya mehem atshuva shu amarpei. Lefichoch kosu b'teirav v'aniyah chazek eslei paro. After Paroi, he alone sinned first, and he caused evil to Am Yisrael. The din from Shemayim was to prevent him from tshuva until one will punish him. And that's why HaKadosh Baruch Hu strengthened his heart. In his first 5 makkos, Paroi alone strengthened his heart. Afterwards, after he chose so much the wrong way, Hashem took away from him the opportunity to return. So then he has the kasha. Lama shalech lo yad Moshe. Shalach v'asei tshuva. So why is he sending him to do tshuva? And it's Babu Zayis Amanaticha. He says, the purpose of this is, listen what he says here. Unbelievable. To tell everybody, that everybody should know, when Hashem takes away the opportunity from tshuva, from the chaytei, from the sinner, there's no way, even if we get makot, we can't understand power. We look at how could it be any normal human being would turned around these? It's suicidal. How is Paro so suicidal? Because if Hashem takes away from the person to do tshuva, you can show him black and white. Hashem took it away from him because he chose himself. It's a punishment, but it's not the contradiction to being. He's not being punished for the averis that he's doing now. Paro is not being punished for what he chose after Hashem took away from him the opportunity to tshuva. Paro is being punished for his evil choices of before. But the evil choices of before put him in such a state that Hashem took it away from him. And the Rambam goes on and on. And then he asks a question. Others deal with this one. He says, what does it mean that David HaMelech, he's so chagakayim, such a tzaddik as David HaMelech. David HaMelech says, Hareini Hashem darchecho, ahamech b'mitecho, yachid levo v'yiro shemecho. So what does it mean? David HaMelech asks that Hashem should show him the way. So the Rambam, the others learn this is what's the question? The Rambam is dealing here with a question. What's the question? Mashal and Brochus asked this question too. We have a principle. Hakol lidei shemayim chutz miyivashamayim. So when a person says to Hashem, help me to do the mitzvah, in a certain sense, there could be a problem with such a tefillah. Help me to be a masman and Torah. There could be a problem. Depends how much he does himself. Why? Because what does he say? Hashem made a very clear division. There are the things in the world which is the responsibility of Hashem. You know what those things are? Every single thing. But there's one thing which is the work of the other, free will. In the free will, he doesn't mix in. Chutz miyirah shamayim. So when a person says, "Ribono shel olam, make me a talmid chacham," "Ribono shel, make me a masman," so he's saying, "I know it's my job, but it's too hard for me. So you do it instead." So he's taking his work and throwing it on Ribono shel olam. The Ribono shel olam says, "I'm doing everything this way," but that's your job. You want to throw the job on me? And so Elamai. So the Rambam learns Kipshutai. The Mashor is this kasha. How does a person say in Shemona Esrei, Hashivenu, the Mashor, the Mashor's in Brochus Berach Daf Yud, that the wife of Rabbi Meir told him that he should be mispalel on Rishoyim, that they should be chayzer b'tshuva. So the Mashor discusses this whole idea about tefillah, about Yirah Shamayim. He says, it's our job. How do you pray for such a thing? So he says, the Mashor says like this, B'derech she'odom roitze leilech arichem. The way a person wants to go, they lead him from heaven. So when a person is mitpalel, when he says Hashivenu avinu l'teirosecha, Ribono shel olam, bring me back to your Torah, so if this is really what he wants, they'll lead him, they'll guide him in this way. Because the tefillah itself means that it's roitze leilech, he wants to go. But there's one condition, just as a Maimar Muska, something parentheses, there's one condition in this tefillah. If you, the human being, are doing your maximum of Hashivenu avinu l'teirosecha, you're doing everything you can with your free will. You're using your free will to the maximum that you can. Then you say to Hashem, help me return to your Torah. That tefillah has a place. That has a value. Because you did yours what you can. So make it now, give me more opportunities. Give me more power. Then the tefillah speaks. But if you're sitting there learning, and you have a telephone, for example, and you make a phone call in the middle, and you receive a phone call in the middle, etc., or you take 4 cups of Mrs. Arakaisis every day in the middle of Seder, even though it's not the night of the Seder, 4 cups of coffee, 1 cup of coffee. So it could be that it's not Hashivenu avinu l'teirosecha. You're not doing everything to return yourself to the Torah. So how can you say that? Then you're saying, Ribono shel olam, please do the job for me. It's too hard for me. So then you're giving the work over to Hashem. The tefillah has a place when you're not giving everything over to Hashem instead, when you're not asking Hashem to do your job instead. After you've done your job, you can ask Hashem, give me more opportunity. But the Rambam doesn't even accept this pshat. Just listen to this. Ube'inyan zeh shoyelim. In this inyan, it says, when David HaMelech says, Hareini Hashem dakecha, what's he really saying to Hashem? Ribono shel olam, I'm afraid that I've misused the gift of free will so badly that maybe you'll take away from me the free will. Now we have to understand, it doesn't mean global. A person has an infinite amount of choices in a day. Every second he's confronted with choices. Maybe he doesn't realize it because he's mostly an automatic pilot. In certain areas of life, it could be that he's misused his free choice. And at that point, Hashem takes away from him the free will. It's not all or nothing. It's in every individual thing. There's such anhag in Hashem, there's madregas in this. So David HaMelech says, don't in any area take from me away free will. Ubinyan zeh shoyelim anavim atznikim b'tefillasei Hashem, la'ozrom to help them al derech ha'emes, in the way of truth. K'may shama David Hareini Hashem dakecha. What does it mean? K'loima. You all learn, whenever Rashi says K'loima, he's coming to answer some kind of a kasha. Rashi, the Rambam too, what's this K'loima? K'loima, it's not, don't read it like it says. Because the Rambam has the kasha of the Mashor. What's he saying, David HaMelech? You do the job instead of me? That's your job. K'loima, so the Rambam says, Al yimnu'uni chatoi derech ha'emes. Let my chatoyim not prevent me from recognizing the way of truth. Maybe you'll take away from me the opportunity of bchira like he took from Parai. David HaMelech was worried about this. Al yimnu'uni chatoi derech ha'emes shemimena eida dakecha v'yichud shimcha. V'chein zeh she'amar in Tilim Lamed Aleph, Keshabo Vasheva, on Tshuva. V'ruach nediva tisbecheni. K'loima, toniach ruchi la'sois chefza. Leave the free will by me. Please don't take it away. Maybe I've misused my free will, but don't take it away from me. Even if I'm going the wrong way, let me still have free will to do tshuva. Give me, don't take away the gift of me free will till I use my free will to understand and to come back to the way of truth. If I have done a choice where in that choice I have diverted from the path of truth, don't take away from me the opportunity to return to the path of truth. Keep me the opportunity at least till I finally understand and come back to truth. That's what David HaMelech says when he says, Hareini Hashem L'kecha. The Rambam's Pshat in the Pasuk. Kalayma, don't bring me to the way of truth. I have to do it, but don't prevent me from. Don't take away from me the opportunity. You gave me the opportunity. I used it wrong. Wait for me to use it right. The same way, there's madregas in this. It's very interesting. The Rambam brings down. So we understand not only is the gift of Bechira an enormous gift, but if we misuse it, chas v'shalom. But let's go turn it around in a positive way for a minute. Mida toiva meruba mimidis aparonius tov kuf pamim. Mentioned it many times. If we can make a kal v'chayma, if there's such a thing of taking away free will, there must be the opposite too, that Hashem gives more opportunities of using the free will. He increases the power of the free will. So if there's an einish, if there's an anhoga of einish from Hashem to take away free will, there must be an anhoga as well to increase the choices. I will give you an example. When a person chooses, for example, to be in a yeshiva, chooses to be in a yeshiva, or one day he has to go to yeshiva. It could be when he's in yeshiva, he'll make it's a totally different thing. His learning will be a totally different thing. So he's carried by this choice. So his opportunity to use his free will is much more. He has much more choices in front of him. Ruchnius. And if he chooses to put himself in the middle of a Chov Yafa, he has different choices. But all this is a teilada. It's an effect of what he chose. In other words, the opportunities of choice are depending on your surroundings, and they are very often. This I gave an example where it's an outcome of these choices of the person. But there are things that happen in life which are an outcome of what Hashem, the circumstances that Hashem brings a person in. So to the point that a person uses his free will correctly, so Hashem will be misavev, who bring about circumstances to multiply the possibility of choices which are correct. He'll increase his free will to do mitzvahs. He'll put him in front of opportunities of more mitzvahs. And that could be as well included in what Chazal express when they say mitzvah gereris mitzvah. It doesn't only mean in the human being himself. It means that Hashem will bring about opportunities of mitzvahs and Torah and everything else. Now let us see what are those mitzvahs which take away b'chira in different madregas. Because here we have another Rambam. The Rambam brings down a brayso. Esrim ba'arbod volim ma'akvim es tshuva. There are 24 things that prevent a person from doing tshuva. Is this the same thing? They prevent a person. So Rambam says all sorts of different reasons why they make tshuva hard. But in the beginning he says like this. Arbar mehem, 4 of these 24. Ovan godel, that's in Perek Ravim because tshuva. It's a great sin. Va'oisa echod me'arba'atam ein HaKadosh Baruch Hu maspik biyodoi la'asois tshuva levigoydol chetol. If he does one of these 4, HaKadosh Baruch Hu doesn't put in his hand to do tshuva because of the greatness of his sin. Is this the same thing? Is this the case of the Rambam with Parah? Is this that? No, it can't be. You know why? Because at the end he says Mefulash. Kol elu advorim chiyotze behem anu b'shema'akvim es hatshuva ein moinim es hatshuva. It's another bad way. It's ma'akiv es hatshuva, but it's not moinim es hatshuva. Those he said moinim mehem hatshuva. This is ma'akvim es hatshuva, but it's in the same shpachah. The tumas hachet creates less b'chira. The greatest tumas hachet blocks the b'chira totally. But according to the madregas of the choices of a person, if a person chooses kedusha, it multiplies b'chira. B'chira itself is something, that's what we see from the Rambam. The Rambam, we have this great chiddush. There's the gift of b'chira, but it's not status quo. B'chira is elastic. It's an elastic gift. It's flexible. It grows. It diminishes or multiplies according to the choices of a person. And for this itself, he'll be needed in Shemayim. That that he misused his bechira, and he came to a point to have less bechira. So a person thinks, look, I don't have choices. My circumstances, they'll take it into consideration. I can't be like somebody else who's learning this, that. It could be that this is a result of his choices. It's not so partial. The person doesn't know what his choice is, because the circumstances in life and the opportunities of Torah and mitzvahs are relative to the choices themselves. Choices lead to choices, and misuse of choices leads to taking away of choices. This is an enormous chiddush from the Rambam. We learn from the Rambam. There's another madrega, if we're already talking about it. There's apakorsim. At least these aim must speak and be aim minim, but he can do tshuva. What does it mean aim must speak? Maybe we have to talk about it for a minute. What does it mean aim must speak and be otherwise says tshuva? The emphasis this is a subject which is very hard to condense it in a half hour. This subject. It's aim must speak and be otherwise says tshuva. That means that they won't bring about. Sometimes HaKadosh Baruch Hu doesn't mix into free will, but he can bring in a person's life such circumstances that will shake him up and make him think. That's also an Eza from Shemayim, because a person is influenced from the circumstances like what happened to him. Ein maspikim biyodei, that means they won't bring about circumstances that might help him come to tshuva. They won't in any way help him in the tshuva. They won't bring such circumstances about. But if he himself will look for emes, he can, with Mesiras Nefesh, he can get there. But they won't help him. They won't put him in situations that will make the tshuva easy. Ein maspikim biyodei, but ein meinim. Meinim means that's it. Meinim. Then there's another case. If somebody was nichshel in apokosis, the Gemara says not only apokosis. We had the famous story of Rabbi Elazar ben Dudaya, that he chose an aveira to the point that he became so addicted to the aveira. So the Gemara says there's a concept of addiction. Man de Polish, it says like there's a pasuk. Kol ba'eho lo yeshuvim lo yesigud orchas chayim. Whoever came into this chet, they can't do tshuva. So the Gemara says, and they will not receive life. So the Gemara says it doesn't mean they can't do tshuva. They can't do tshuva and live. The tshuva is so difficult that they'll lose their life in the tshuva. They can only do tshuva Mesiras Nefesh. And it's brought down the story of Elazar ben Adaya. It says not only apokosis, and not only apokosis, any aveira which became the person became so enmeshed in this aveira that it's like an addiction, so he can't do tshuva. It's equal to minus. Even the odik bay, if he's addicted to it, the word addiction might be the wrong word, but it means he's so enmeshed in it that it's keminus tongue. It has a din of apokosis. But with Mesiras Nefesh, and so the famous Gemara that Rabbi Elazar ben Adaya, that he was involved in a chet of women and Paragimel, he says like this. That these are the Aveiros she'ein lem chelik elam haba. So the Rambam says like this. V'amer dvarim amurim, that all these people don't have a chelik elam haba, all these apokosim, shekol echad me'elu einu chelik elam haba, kishemeis b'loi tshuva. He doesn't say that he didn't do tshuva. Kishemeis b'loi tshuva, because the only way he can do tshuva is with misa. Avim shov mi rishoy. Avim shov mi rishoy. Umes. What does he say umes? Avim shov mi rishoy. Because I think the Rambam is hinting here this Gemara. Without the mess, they can't hold the tshuva. Im shav mi risha, he did tshuva and he died. Hu bar tshuva, bareza b'me'elam haba. She'ein lecha dova she'oimid b'fnei tshuva. Afilu kofa be'ika kol yomav, he was an apokoris. He was a heretic and he wrote books on heresy. And all his life, hu ba'achroinav, at the end of his life, he did tshuva. Yesh lo chelik le'elam haba. And the pasuk says, Shalom, Shalom, Oma Hashem l'rochak l'korov. Misha Oma rochak, and he became korov. Hashem sends him Shalom. Oma Hashem urefosim, I cure him. And the refuah is tshuva. So we have here three madregas, but they're all the same thing. We have a madrega of a maspikin b'yodas is tshuva. We have a second madrega. These are madregas in siluk ha'bchira, in taking away the free will. We have a madrega in maspikin b'yodas. Then we have another madrega that he has to die in tshuva, that he can't do it without giving his life up to his life. Then we have another madrega, moinem imenu tshuva, one takes away tshuva totally. Now let's see the first madrega of ein maspikin b'yodas is tshuva. What are those things specifically? It's very interesting because we can learn from this to turn around the other way. What are the things that increase bechira? So it says like this, the Rambam. What's the goydel hachet of ein maspikin b'yodas is tshuva? Hamachti es harabim. he brings about somebody else to do a sin. He brings other people to do a sin. Or he prevents people from doing a mitzvah. He has a friend and is on the right derech, and he talks him into to go on the wrong way. He sees his son going out the wrong way, and he can stop him. It's not my business. I don't mix in. If he would have been Meicha, he could have prevented them. And included in this is anybody that can prevent somebody from doing an Aveira and he doesn't prevent them. What's the pshat in all these things? Because it's chet in the free will itself. He's pagan. He does damage in the free will, the gift of free will of others. He brings them, they have the gift of free will to do right thing, and he talks them into use the free will wrongly. This included in this, the Ram says as well, if he uses tshuva, which is the gift of Hashem to do to itself to get close to Hashem. If he uses tshuva, he misuses the gift of tshuva. He says, Echta v'ashav, I'll do a chet now, afterwards I'll do tshuva. Or he says, you know what, Yom Kippur is a nice day, once a year, I'll do tshuva on Yom Kippur. In the meantime, I'll do a chet. So he's using the matana of Hashem, which itself is given to bring closer to Hashem, and turning it around to make it out of it a chet. So Hashem takes away from him. It takes away from the opportunity of tshuva. So from this we learn that whenever a person is mizakeh esacheru, whatever he uses the opposite, that he brings a person to be mitchazik in avodas Hashem, this increases the gift of free will. How much he brings others and he guides others to use their gift of free will the right way, so he's mechabed the gift of free will. So this increases by him free will. Midah keneged midah. Kama a person is mizakeh esacherim, this gives him a koyach from Shemayim, because if misuse of the free will of others is maspikim biyad l'aseh tshuva, is vadai the opposite is maspikim biyad l'aseh tshuva, brings him the more tshuva, and it's mefurish Chazal. Hamezakeh sarabim ein chet bo al yodav. And I will be Messiah. This Rambam is the kavanah. We say it we have in davening after the Birchas Hashachar, and we say there va'al to be einu loyli dei chet v'loyli dei avan. What does it mean? Don't bring us to the chet v'dei avan. That's this Rambam. Al to be einu loyli dei chet v'dei avan. Don't take away from us free will. If you take away from me, you bring us to a chet and avan. Tagileinu b'tzarasecha al to be einu loyli dei chet. Give us, increase by us the gift of free will.
Oh yeah.
עומד עלינו לכלותנו והקדוש ברוך הוא מצילנו מידם והקדוש ברוך הוא יצילנו